Right. Welcome back to Newcastle Muso Talk. Our guest this episode is Marcus Wright. He's the brains behind Big Apachee Promotions. He's a licensee at the Wicko Park Hotel as well, where we recorded this episode a couple of weeks ago. He's been involved in music locally for a number of years in a range of capacities, as we've discussed. Long been a champion of local talent. He's thrown me some work behind the sound desk at the Wicko there as well, which is always handy. But he's been involved in the music scene locally and in the local music task force that spoke to the parliamentary inquiry recently about safeguarding existing local music venues against noise complaints from residents moving into new developments. And we'll touch lightly on that as well in the conversation, as well as changes that he's seen in the local scene in his many years of development. His pick of the local bands that he's seen and a lot of really cool stories. So don't forget to check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/Newcastle Muso Talk. You can keep up to date with when we've got new episodes live and who our upcoming guests are. We're online at newcastlemusotalk.home.blog, and you can stream all the episodes that we've done there. You can also find us on iTunes and the Apple Podcast app. Next week we'll be back with Ian Lobb and Emma Hitchens from the Lasso Gowrie Hotel. That should drop next Wednesday morning. Hopefully string 3 consecutive weeks together. But in the meantime, here's our chat with Marcus. Hope you enjoy it. Cheers. We generally just start with a bit of a general background. You're locally born, Maitland, Newcastle. Where was your background?
I'm proudly born in Newcastle.
Yep.
Born at the Mater Hospital in 1971, actually.
Yeah.
And
nice.
Born in Newcastle, lived here for 10 years.
Yep.
I did primary school here and actually started off at Cardiff High School and then our family moved up to the Gold Coast.
Yep.
And we lived in Surfers Paradise. They got into high-rise management.
So, yeah.
I was a keen surfer back in the day.
Yep.
And I had hair.
Yeah.
So
I've been there, man. I know the sting.
So, and then came back to Newcastle at 20.
Yep.
When I come back to Newcastle, I met a man called Grant Pillen, who was currently, at the time, managing the Palais Royal.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We become mates. We shared a house together. We started surfing together, and he bought me my first bass guitar. So
yeah, nice.
I'd sort of hang out at the Palais and watch bands like Midnight Oil, Noiseworks, Jimmy Barnes, Screaming Jets, Baby Animals, and just basically blew me away, and I got addicted to music.
Was that sort of your first taste of music outside of your parents'
It was, but
collection?
Except for once on the Gold Coast, I went when I was 14. I actually shaved my head for a Midnight Oil. I used to really like Midnight Oil and Spy vs. Spy. And early In Excess, I guess, too. And Talking Heads were what we used to listen to while surfing. So I shaved my head, and I think it was like, I was 14. And it was like the Red Sails and the Sunset concert. And it was under the big top tent.
Yeah,
and
cool.
They put that on up at the Spit up near SeaWorld.
Yep.
And I just remember seeing that, and it just blew me away.
Yeah.
And then didn't really get into music until I came back here, to be honest. And then from 21 on, just...
So that sort of new wave punk, I guess it's described,
grunge,
was sort of...
The grunge I was into big time.
Yeah, cool.
Nirvana was my favourite band. And,
Yep.
my first band was called The Sick Men, and we had 13 Nirvana songs, 1 original, and Dig in Your Grave by Faith No More.
Yeah. Can't go wrong with that, man. Did you get involved in doing promoting of shows back then? When did you sort of get your first dip your toes into organising gigs, putting that together?
I started playing. I was a bass player for 6 years.
Yep.
In 3 original bands, The Sick Men, and then I went into a band called Pivot.
Yep.
And we got signed. I always wanted to get signed by Oracle Records, which was Grinspoon's record label at the time up in Brisbane. So we recorded an EP with Matt Hoherty and Simo at the Music Production Factory.
Yeah, cool.
And we sent it off, and we actually got picked up and got signed for the EP. And that was really good. Did some touring with Brad Fall and Chad Rogers. That was really good, actually. Good time. And had the music studio going, playing in the band, so early 20s.
Yep.
Times were great. Newcastle was roaring, I can tell you. And then
who are the big names of the bands locally that you remember from that time frame?
Plant, Hound. There was a rock and roll band called Hound. Just still one of the best rock and roll bands I've ever seen in my life. You know, Face Plant were just amazing. They were like a grunge rock band.
And what venues are sort of the scene at that stage?
Cambridge Hotel was very strong. The Hunter on Hunter, which is now
Nearly everyone I've had on has mentioned the Hunter on Hunter. I went to a ton of gigs there, and just that dingy atmosphere where anybody could get up and make a racket.
Shows like, honestly, and then that's where I actually started promoting some shows. My first ever show as a promoter was the Star Hotel in 1994 on Christmas Eve, and unfortunately we burnt the hotel nearly to the ground. my friend Mac, drummer Mac from Newcastle, he did a fire breathing trick.
Went out
and the place down. So that was interesting, and that was a bit of a scare. I didn't know if it was a sign, but I continued on.
So it started as just more a necessity to book shows for your bands, and then learn those skills, and then take them and apply them
bands. My first band I ever managed was a band called Plutonium Biscuits.
Yep.
Matty Stokes' band and Robbie Carter, and Julian Dudman.
Yep. And
it was an amazing band, and from that started organising. The Family Hotel, I must mention too, which is still here today. That was an amazing live music venue across the road from the Palais. Seeing bands like the Terraplanes, the Slots, Syrupus, those sort of bands that were playing there. A band called Natural Mystics were really strong back in the day. And those bands were great. I'd just go there and just watch them and drink beer and have a great time.
Yeah. At what point did it become sort of the way that you gave yourself a financial backing? And
it was in 1992.
Yep.
Was when it really started for me. 93, and then I started my own business in 94, which was Apachee Rain Promotions.
Yep.
It got very serious there, and that was when
was that transition? Was it a leap of faith sort of moment?
Yes, a big leap of faith.
Yeah.
It was an interesting concept from going from a set money from working for someone to. You could earn $50, $100, $300 to you might lose $500 for this week.
Yeah. Did you have a set idea of a sort of size you wanted to grow it to, or a particular ambition when you started, or it was just to make a go of it?
I just wanted to be signed and release an EP, which we did in Pivot. With Shanked, that's where all the fun was at. A lot of touring, a lot of fun.
Yep.
But when I changed over into actually becoming, a business person in the music industry, it became a lot more serious, and I actually had to make the decision to give up the band to follow my dreams.
Yep. You don't play anymore at all, really? No.
I did a reunion gig a few years ago with a band called Sprung Monkey, like Shank, my band played.
Yep.
There's talk of it now. I'm obviously here at the Wicko Park Hotel now. My business partner, Grant, is the lead singer out of The Sick Man and Shanked. So he's the guy who got me into music. Now it's funny he's back here with me.
Comes full
circle.
We
might do one show here maybe.
Yep.
I'm not sure, but I prefer just to organise and I like being behind stage and being ready and organised.
How busy does that keep you now? Do you have time off, family time off, or you're pretty much flat chat? Yeah.
I have got married last year.
Yep.
After 15 years with my lovely lady.
I took the leap this April.
Yes. And we have my son is 12.
Yep.
And my stepson's 19.
Yeah.
And his father's Justin Street, who was a drummer in Hound, actually a band I used to manage back in the day. So we get on really good, and we're a pretty close family.
Yeah, you've got a nice balance of being able to take time off and do that family stuff and not be.
I don't get enough of that, but But I do make sure.
Yeah.
Business is one thing, but family is very important.
Yeah. Who's the best band that you've seen all time, and who's the best band you've seen play here at the Wicko?
Good questions. The best band would be Nirvana.
Yep.
At the Horden Pavilion. I think it was 93 or 94. They come out for the Big Day Out with Violent Femmes. It was the first year of the Big Day Out.
Yep.
And I've just never seen a concert that intense with a mosh pit that went from when you walked in
all the way to the front.
Just the whole floor venue was a mosh pit. And Bane and just that music.
Yep.
Some don't like grunge because it's 2 or 3 chords, but I loved it.
Love that stuff. Yeah.
Just blew me away. That was definitely by far the best. I've worked with a lot of bands, and I've been to lots of concerts, thousands and thousands of concerts, but just Nirvana was the best. For the Cambridge Hotel, where I work too, and book acts there for the guys, I would suggest it's a bit of a mix, but it'd be a cross between Radio Birdman and the Cat Empire.
Yeah.
Even though that's a very strange mix, but just both those shows were very powerful and strong. And I remember the first big one of the Cat Empire. It was really hot. There was no air conditioning, but the band just really nailed it.
Yeah.
And working with Radio Birdman many years ago, we've had shows there that just blew me away.
How much of it, as a booker, do you sort of follow your personal taste to dictate what you're going to book, or you sort of quite open to book whatever you think will bring people in?
I am, but we do follow our, at Big Apachee, Andrew Kelly, my business partner, and we do follow our gut instincts a lot. Sometimes it doesn't pan out, but I try to stick a bit of what I'm interested in. However, if I'm working for a venue or a festival or an event, I will book what they require to suit them.
Is what makes a great band here on stage different to what makes a great band that you can sell?
Yes, definitely.
To somebody?
100%.
Yeah. What's some of those? Just those key factors, X factor things, and
individuals. Different people. Some people are very hard to work with. Some people are very easy to work with. Some people make it very hard to work with. Some people make it easy to work with. So, I manage a guy called Pat Apachee. I currently manage Pat Apachee, Fox Control, which is Hugh Jones. And then Jolene are our 3 acts we manage, and then we represent a lot of bands. So.
Without obvious bias towards those bands, who are sort of your top picks of bands, apart from those bands already that you mentioned, playing locally now, who are the sort of picks of the scene?
Well, Monsters of Rock are really great in the rock and roll sort of genre. I'm quite honoured to work with, Grant Wormsley from the Screaming Jets and Di Pritchard, Rose Tattoo lead guitarist, you know what I mean? Those sort of guys. Justin Naricki would probably be one of the best, strongest musicians that I've worked with, and Paul Coxon. Those 2 guys just, amazing to work with. And
I remember seeing the Black Sabbath tribute show. It was killer.
It's just amazing. And just have that respect with those musicians, and it's good. It's a 2-way street. I respect them, they respect me, and it's really cool.
What are the strengths of the scene as you see it at the moment? It seems that we're going through I had a comment from John Fox on one of the earlier episodes. He sort of said back in the time of the earthquake, it sort of drew everyone out of the city, and it seems like we've had all this construction in town. It's almost a man-made earthquake that's pushed everything back out again to places like the Wicko Park, the Stag and Hunter. How do you see that changing face of the city against the scene now? Is there still...
So the scene was a lot stronger back in the day, I would say. In saying that, the scene's, I think, reviving and rebirthing itself. The Newcastle music scene right now is quite strong. There's a lot of great artists performing, soloists, duos, DJs. We've got a really healthy scene. Being a promoter and touring bands around the country, you often get to see lots of different pockets of music or talent, and I've always believed in Newcastle. And I think it's strong and it's going really well. I'm very proud of the guys at the Cambridge Hotel, because a lot of people... I've worked at the Cambridge Hotel since 1994. And I've worked with probably 8 different owners. And the current owners are very, very good, and they've done what they said they were going to do. They put the money on the table. They've made that venue a very, it's an Australian, probably one of the best venues in Australia to see a live band, I think. So I think the scene's booming. There's lots of different little things. There's lots of restaurants and smaller venues popping up, which I like. I just think the more the better, and I think the stronger the scene is and the more places people have to play, the better the scene is.
Do you think rock and roll has sort of done itself a misfavour over time by tying itself so strongly to pubs, where it sort of, if they can't make it go in pubs, there's no real effort to do that DIY sort of thing? Like you hear about the States, they'd go to the community halls and, just do those DIY shows. Do you think there's too much of a reliance at the
pub? Yeah, I agree. Pub rock or rock and roll's just got to be in a pub. It is a bit of probably holds it back a little bit, because I think rock and roll can be put on anywhere. And, I had a record label called Rain Records. Andrew and I set up in 2000. 2000.
I had the Cigars for the Man album on Rain Records.
I mean, that's one of the best.
It's a cracker. I saw him at the show there at the Lucky Country upstairs.
Yes.
It's a cracker.
You got a great memory. But they're just a great band again. Working with those guys, Justin from the Porkers, Simo, and just amazing.
I remember that night because I remember Simo going, "Fredo's a real important show tonight," and whatever. And then he takes me upstairs to rip cones, and he's, I'm like, "You're doing the proper preps here, Simo. You're taking it professionally."
Well, I don't know anything about
that.
No.
But I'll bleep that out and those people's names out.
But 100% right there. And that's another space upstairs at the Lucky Country Hotel. That was amazing. Some of the heavier gigs that went on there. We did a lot at the Newcastle Leagues Club as well. Up in that room. So as for Big Apachee, we like to move it around a lot, and we obviously got our rooms we represent, focus on, but then we also like to put shows on in other places.
What sort of venues do you think are doing a good job around town of, I guess, bringing music and
I think
the pub
the Cambridge
business?
Hotel, I think the Wickham Park Hotel, the Stag and Hunter Hotel, the Lassigary Hotel.
The Stag seems to be really on a real launch at the moment. I'm going to have a chat to Mick.
Mick Starkey. He's a really good guy. He's a friend of mine. And we work together. on different projects. I run the Passport to Airlie, a band competition out of the Stag and Hunter Hotel.
Yep.
And
I remember my band played one of the heats here one time against Halfway Homeboy. They were killer, Halfway Homeboy. They're a great band.
Great band. Great guys too.
Yeah.
So that I leave it there because it's not just about me being at the Wickham Park Hotel. I like to still be Marcus from Big Apachee. A different person to Marcus.
So they are different roles, really. And Big Apachee's not tied exclusively to the Wickham Park.
No, it's not.
No, cool.
But we do book the Wickham Park, and it's special to us. And why I'm here is I worked here for 10 years as a booking agent, and the owner was going to sell or lease the hotel. It's the reason I decided to take on the big job that it is.
Yeah. So you're the owner of the pub, essentially?
So we own the hotel. We own the lease. So, Simon Lawrence still is the freehold owner, and we lease the business and the pub off him. And we'll be here from 5 to 10 years.
Yep. Do you have longer term plans than that ideally, or you
I'd like to be here
just
for 10 years at least, and then see what happens.
See what's changing with the city and how everything's going.
But I won't go changing any tact of what we're doing. I mean, my son's 12. He has a little bit of autism. He's quite funny, actually, Brody. And he's like, Dad, I'm going to do what you do.
Yeah.
And I said, please don't. But I think he might. And he wants me to start training him up. He's like my personal assistant a bit. So I'd like for him to carry on the torch.
Yeah.
And I just love working with the arts, really, and creative people. I get bored very easily.
Yep.
I teach at Hunter TAFE. I've been there for 10 years. I do music business.
Yep.
And I teach students there and help create some businesses. So anything to do with music, really. I'm into it, and I just have that passion for it. And I actually love seeing people come up with an idea or a bit of a dream, and then seeing that come into a reality. That's what I get really excited by.
Do you think there's a lack of venues that will put on sort of the untested bands to give them a run? With places like the Hunter on Hunter and those places gone.
Even like us, we've started Wednesday night here at the Wickham Park, which is the music nursery, we call it, which is new music for fresh ears sort of thing. Is our concept with it.
Are you shooting a younger demographic? I know the Wicko Park's got something of a reputation of maybe an older crowd.
Blues.
Yeah, and blues and roots and an older crowd
some of
there.
my Wednesday nights just recently with Nick Connors and his lady.
Do you guys look after Throw Me to the Wolves as well?
Yes.
They're a great band. I booked them when I was up at Maitland. Have they? Yeah.
They're amazing.
They were great, I often think I'm just too old to really keep up with.
But some people think
where that
good
good stuff's
I've had
coming.
some younger crew come here from like the Laos or the Station Hotel. That's another good venue, the Station Hotel. It's doing a really good job with live music.
Yeah.
And the Northern Star Hotel.
They do a nice range too. Like they've got, you can go and see a black metal band, which is, just one dude's passion project, making noise.
You might not see that anywhere else.
That's right, yeah.
So it is hard what you're saying. You take that on. We do that a bit on the Wednesday nights, and I like to, and it's surprising how much people go, wow, they're really good.
Yeah.
We've never had that opportunity to see them.
See something different.
We like to try and encourage that.
How do you hear about new bands? Where do you keep your ear to the ground?
Ear to the ground, talking to people, word of mouth, and a lot of bands contact our company and send off demos. I mean, we work with bands sometimes for 2 years before we do one show with them. Yeah.
How much are you out with your own shows as opposed to going and seeing shows of personal interest to you? Is there much time for that?
That ratio has changed, I can assure you. It's probably around, 80% of our shows that I'm at, and then 20% would be me looking at other shows and other artists. Because I still love to just go and watch.
Is it hard to switch off that promoter side of your brain when you go and watch a band?
Yes. My wife wants me to too.
I found that doing sound, you just go, why don't they bring that up? Or it's hard to switch that off.
I think,
yeah.
It'd be good if we could.
How financially viable is it for somebody to make a living as a musician in Newcastle? Is there a way to do it that doesn't involve constant touring? Is there?
Yes, 100%. I work with a lot of different acts and musicians, and there's definitely ways of, it being a soloist, doing 2 or 3 good shows a week.
Yep.
There's definitely the room for it in the city and suburbs surrounding. We work at Shoal Bay Country Club as well. We're doing some touring bands up there, which is really good and exciting. It was traditionally like a cover band venue. Now we're doing things like Thirsty Merc and other touring acts up there, Fundamentals. You know what I mean? So that's really exciting to see another great venue take on some original music. And most people really enjoy it and get quite surprised by it.
Do you find does originals versus covers really matter in the end, or are you more interested in the vibe that the people are going to have with that band? Like if a great band, no matter what they play, really is.
I lean to original music.
Yep.
A lot of people think I don't like cover bands and things, which is not true. I mean, I love a great cover band's a great cover band.
Yeah, there's a great time to be had with a great
musician
band.
Playing a great, guitar or playing the drums well. Whatever, it's still a great thing that's happening. So I respect that, but they are two different things. I work with a couple of bands. I represent a band called Viagra that are amazing live. And I've worked with those guys and known them for a long, long time.
Two-piece with the drums they play while they're playing guitar and bass.
And they're just amazing. And I mean, they were in Rag Monster back in the day, which was a 5-piece heavy original band. I just loved them, back then. But they do both. They have their original sort of show, and they also do some covers. I think you have to, as an artist, mix it up a bit to get that income coming in. And it is a hard job. It's not like just turning up and collecting the money. They actually have to rehearse, have their equipment on song,
be professional.
To improve and go to the next level, I guess.
Yeah. How culturally relevant do you find live music is? Do you think it's been devalued with so much at-home entertainment where you don't have to go out? Do you find there is lower attendances as a general rule?
Yeah, I think... I mean, everyone just blames technology for music destroying live music. I don't think it's just that, but it does, the big screens, the surround sound, all the stuff you can tune into. People go, wow. I mean, I know myself sometimes if I've got a night off and I can stay home, I love my lounge. Netflix and whatever we can get into. So it does, but I think, and people then say poker machines. Well, poker machines have been around for a long time. But poker machines and technology. I think also the price of beer. I think the price of drinks. And that's what most people don't like me to say.
You're still seeing negative sides of the lockout laws as well?
Not so much. The lockout laws didn't really, I don't think, affect live music as much because most of our gigs are finished by midnight. You know what I mean? It's more the DJs, I think, get hit and suffer from that.
Those next venues where people will go after here, which finishes up around those
you watch a good live band, you've got to quickly get to somewhere, haven't you?
That's right, you've got to do that dash to...
So it has affected the scene, and some people, would say, oh, well, I just won't bother or I won't go out if that's the case, I have friends from overseas come and stay with us or come and visit Newcastle, and they get fascinated that you can't have a shot or you can't actually buy a cocktail or you have to be into a venue by a certain time. And
How much as an owner do you get restricted by just red tape, council, state, federal? I remember, I don't know if this was when you were involved, when they had the sign out here that became an issue with council and wanted to get taken down, and it was...
One of the owners, Scott Lawrence, a good friend of mine actually, he had that sign up there. He wrote a lot of different things on that sign. It was to promote live bands, and everyone loved the sign. And there's lots of different signs around similar. And I thought it was very sad the council attacked him the way they did. I mean, they even got the guy across the road in the car park. He had a sign up inside the car park, away from all the traffic lights, just saying, what cars, how much the cars were. It's a promotional tool. They made him not only turn it off, they took him back to court and made him remove the black sign. From the hangings, because it was still hanging up there, but it was turned off. So there is a bit of that. I think I'm proud to say I'm part of the Newcastle Music Task Force.
I was going to ask about that. You're sort of talking with council and...
So we're talking, with the Lord Mayor. She's a lovely lady.
I'd like to try and get her on at some point as well and sort of talk about issues. Cool.
And Tim.
She seems...
Tim Crackenthorpe. He
fairly
started. Because I got a phone call and it was like, oh, Marcus, do you want to comment about the noise and the people complaining and the building and the development, because Newcastle's changing, obviously, with Hunter Street, the light rail, all the units that are popping up everywhere. I think it's a good thing for Newcastle.
You see it coming out well at the other side of all the construction in town?
At the end. I think it will at the end for everybody. But it's been traumatic for a lot of people.
It's been a hard road.
Very, very harsh. But I think it will improve once it's all finished. I think it's a good thing for Newcastle once it's finished, personally.
Once it's done.
But anyway, just quickly on the Music Task Force, I was asked, would you comment? Because no one would comment about the situation, so I will comment. I'll be well known for
Give me a chance,
Some people like me for that, some people don't, but I'll continue. I speak my mind, and I spoke up about it, and that's how some media attention happened with NBN Television. Good friend of mine, Grant Walmsley from the Screaming Jets, got involved. And
Is the main focus of that stuff like noise laws for new constructions, or is it sort of wider spread than that?
It's basically if you move into a house or a unit or a space and you are beside an existing music venue or an entertainment venue, you've got to be able to, or you should be prepared to cop a bit of noise.
It's part of the purchase.
Whereas some people now, you can ring up one complaint and then you can close something down, which I think is disgusting. And all those people get affected by it, not just the musicians, the punters also. Punters miss out, and punters don't like missing out.
And does this come from a local government level, these restrictions? It's all imposed at that local level?
So the council, Newcastle City Council are talking with us. They're on board with us. And Tim Crackenthorpe's doing a good job and pushing forward. So at least we've got council, local and federal government talking about this situation. I'm about to get 6 units built across my back fence. I think it's exciting. I hope they come and I hope they like live music. I live in Carrington, near Carrington Bowling Club, and we hear live music all the time, but we never complain because we live in a city near live music. So
that's right.
Otherwise, you can go and live in the suburbs. You don't have to go and live on a farm like some suggest. You can actually live in a street that's not near a pub or a venue. And there's lots of them.
How much do you think has changed in terms of there doesn't seem to be venues that just have that inbuilt audience anymore, sort of looking for music? Is that, I mean, I know that there's an element of that again here and the Stag and places like that, but in general, does there seem to be...
Yeah, people aren't just going out. I mean, Andrew, my business partner, and I worked at the Bar on the Hill, and Andrew specifically for 20 years booking the Bar on the Hill. There was people just go there every Thursday night to the Bar on the Hill because they knew something good.
There would be something cool, yeah.
Whether it be Body Jar, whether it be Frenzal Rom, whether it be Grinspoon, Powderfinger, Helmet. You know, there's always these great bands playing there.
Yeah.
And there was that culture. Now it's changed. People are very specific. The music has to entice them to go there.
Yeah, yeah.
And a good example of that would be my friend Brian Lizotte.
Yep.
Has his theatre Lizotte's.
Yeah, yeah.
And people go and pay money that some people said they wouldn't to go and watch quality music in a nice environment and have beautiful food and a nice drink.
Yeah, yeah.
So, it's, you know, people are more... It's got to be a good act or you can fall quite short.
Yeah. Do you find the, I guess, the social changes now, do you find more young women getting involved in the music industry in any capacity? Yeah, do you see that changing at that grassroots level that it really needs to?
I think it's great. I mean, I've always liked a female bass player. To me, it's just so cool. It's just like a groovy thing. I'm not being sexist or rude in any way, but I just think it's a groovy, cool thing. And it probably happened with Steph at Something for Kate when I was a young fella. And we did some shows.
White Zombie and Hull, and there's a couple of them there.
And there's the big argument at the moment, how many women are in the music industry or how many are in the festival lineup. It's a bit, I take that on board a little bit, but it's like there's a lot more men in the music industry than women, so that's why that happens. It's not being sexist or anything like this.
I mean, how much of it's an orchestra? Surely there's not a group of men who are sitting back, stroking their fingers together and saying, well, let's be exclusive about this.
But I think there's a lot more popping up now.
Yeah.
Into bands and also in the business. I mean, some of the best business people I've worked with in this country and overseas would be females. My office, I have 3 females work in my office. So I'm like, I just find them more organised. They're more organised than me and definitely more organised than my business partners. So we like that. And I don't actually consider, are you a male or a female? I just work with people and work with people that I think are good.
Merits. Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yeah, cool. How long do you think you'll continue pursuing booking bands? You're just going to do it until you physically can't get out there amongst it anymore? Or?
Yeah, I'll continue. I have no plans at all, nor does Andrew or our company. We will continue. I'd say I'll keep doing it until, I mean, I've booked gigs from a hospital bed. I had a mini stroke when I was 26. But I'll continue to do it. Even when I'm a very old man, which isn't far away, really, I will still book and help musicians get gigs and also not just get gigs, but I like, organising film clips and merchandise and branding and logos. And that's, because I'm the person I am, I don't like doing just one thing all the time. I couldn't be just a booking agent booking shows all day, every day. I have to do lots of things to keep me interested.
If there's a bunch of young fellas out there in a band, what's sort of the best advice you can give them in terms of being a successful, active band?
Work hard, rehearse, make sure you got your shit together. A tight band is a very good band. And not only that, but I think one of the big things that's missing from a lot of bands would be you got to get people to the gig. And you need to get bums on seats, the old saying. I hate it. But if you don't get a crowd, I've worked with a lot of really great bands that don't get a crowd, who don't get much of a go. That saddens me. Then I work with a band that's very ordinary. Right, but people love them. People flock to them, and they seem to get this big. They're very successful as opposed to the other act that is actually more talented.
I talked to Tim from Schlauncher, Tim Clack. He's in Porn Logic and Schlauncher, and he said a lot of it's that physical. You going to gigs yourself as well and saying, "Hey, how you going? I'm in a band too," and being that guy who's out every weekend. And sort of the older you get, and the more family reliant you get, that's right. Yeah, it really is a young man's game, isn't it?
And I think Newcastle actually that would be one of our weaknesses compared to Brisbane, Melbourne, Perth, and not so much Adelaide, but those 3, they all work together and team up a bit, whereas we seem to separate, and I don't know what the words are to describe it, but we should all work more together as a team and be more united as Newcastle Music and support each other more, and that would see the industry and the scene grow, and it would see a stronger future, and it would also help artists play, because nobody wants to play to an empty room. Their girlfriend, the sound guy. I've done that.
I think it's undervalued too, the economic flow on from having an active scene of people out spending money, and there's such a value in that.
Yes,
that
like
local scene.
Before, like it's not just the musician playing, it's the sound person, it's the lighting person, it's the it's the punters that actually have that social interaction and go out and run into their mates. And I'm a big advocate for mental health, and I've done lots of events and shows for Lifeline.
Yep.
And I lost a good friend, Toby Smith.
Yep.
To suicide, and I do some work to help that. And I did a concert last year with Nariki called Loud Love.
I was there at the Cambo,
A bit emotional, but
that gets hits, man. It does. It's. Did you see that more prevalent because you work with so many creative people? It's such a intrinsically linked sort of.
We have a lot in our industry. I've been to a lot of rehabilitation facilities. I've been to a lot of funerals. I've been to a lot of bad situations. I guess.
Do you think some of that goes back to, again, rock being so tied to pubs and drinking culture? And
I think it is, but also the culture's changed. Like now I'm meeting a lot of bands and younger bands that want to be fit and want to get up and go for a surf or go for a run or go to the gym. And,
So that rock animal image is shaking off?
Yeah, it is. If you've got a 30-day tour and you go getting smashed up the first couple of tours, mate, you're going to have a horrible time the next month, whereas people actually like it. And they're also smart enough, I think, now to realise I want to have some money at the end of this. Because I've worked with a lot of bands that are quite famous and big and they earn big money, but at the end of the month or the end of the year, they're actually all broke or they don't have any money. And so it's about that planning and that knowledge, and I think there's a lot more information's come into the music industry. And that image of the, drugs, sex, rock and roll, it's still there. But it's not as strong as
diminishing,
it used to be, and it's not as cool. A lot of people are aware that it's not as cool as what they thought.
Much more fatalistic.
You damage your brain. It's just a sad part of life.
Makes more sense to look after yourself.
And do the best out of it.
Make more music. Too easy. I think that's it, man. We'll wrap it up there. Much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Marcus. Cheers.
Nice.